They've been described as amazing and sumptuous, with voices to touch the heart. Who are they? Well, they are the Voice Project, an open access choir from Norfolk who have earned themselves glowing reviews as well as bagging the People's Choice Award from last year's festival, which means they've got quite a lot to live up to. But despite the pressure, they've kindly invited us to one of the early rehearsals of their new piece, Souvenir. Can you define a little bit about what an open access choir actually means?
Yes, an open access choir is an unauditioned choir, so we don't hold any auditions and we don't expect people to read music. People can turn up without the ability to read music, and they can turn up with no previous experience of singing in a choir as well.
We teach everything by ear, so it's not a traditional choir in that sense. And each project we do, the choir's made from scratch. So although there are people that do every single project with us, we always have a really big proportion of first-timers, if you like.
Okay.
And that's the principle of it.
You're quite a large choir, I see.
Yes.
How strong are you now?
There's 158 on the list.
Okay.
So I think a couple of people have had to drop out because other things have come up, but more or less everybody's still in it, so it's pretty amazing. The bit that we're doing is the canon, and then the bass and tenor part, the rhythm part that goes underneath it. So we just revise the canon, put it all together, and that's it. Okay. This choir's new every time. We don't know how easy or difficult they're going to find it, and so we have to take a leap in the dark really. With most of this, music arrives and we go, right, that's what we're teaching.
Okay.
So it's much more of a sort of organic process, which can be fairly hair-raising at times. That sounds gorgeous.
We always write our music depending on the voices that we've got. So very often what happens during the rehearsal process is the music will be in the process of being written. And as we find out what the voices are like, what the balance of voices are like within the choir, the material will adjust to that. So we're always writing to the people that we've got, which is actually a real privilege.
It's not theatre, so it's not like there's a story and characters in that sense, but we do think quite like this piece is all about memory and the way that different things hold memory, whether that's people or the landscape or buildings. We find that, themes like that, which are quite open, are quite inspiring, both for the people who create the music, but also for the choir members. Okay, fine, that's fine. That just was the end, wasn't it? Yeah. But we'll have a signal for the end.
Are there any particular locations in Norfolk that have been an inspiration for this piece?
I think that the whole of Norfolk's an inspiration for it. I mean, it's partly the way that the land is. The part, people think that Norfolk is very flat. Parts of it are, but actually a lot of it is rolling, and but with the big open sky, and the skyscape actually makes a huge difference, and the fact we're surrounded by sea makes a big difference too. So it's got its own very particular air to it, and I think that does inspire. And I think the other thing that's really inspiring for music is light. Light can mean a tremendous amount.
Okay, here we go. None of us comes back quite right, but bring us back. None of us comes back quite right, but bring us back. None of us comes back quite right, but bring us back. None of us comes back quite right, but bring us back. Bring us back, bring us back.
A few weeks ago, community choir The Voice Project were rehearsing their festival performance in the warmth and comfort of the Friends Meeting House in Norwich. But that was about to change. Souvenir was designed as a promenade concert, where choir and audience move from place to place.
We've got these different locations within the promenade where we're able to put together kind of different ideas. We can repeat sections. We can have travelling music between different sections, and the whole thing can develop a narrative for how the background looks very often. So we've got this kind of narrative idea moving through the whole space, which is fantastic. So one moment we might be in a wood, or the next minute we might be in the middle of the parkland, and that will dictate how Sian and I have conceived the plot, if you like, for how people move around the space.
The location chosen for the performance was Holkham Hall, a stately home on the North Norfolk coast. The cast assembled to rehearse in situ in the landscape and light that had inspired both writers and composers. If light and landscape have been an inspiration for the Voice project, then they will find plenty of both here at the Holkham Country Estate, where they will be performing their concert. But as well as light and landscape, they've got high winds and rain. Lots of rain. But don't worry, whatever happens, it will be a terrific day.
Just bells. Just bells.
Yeah, I think that there are. It would be impossible to put it in a genre musically. I mean, essentially, it's a piece of music theatre, isn't it? That's what we're doing.
Yes.
Choral music theatre. I don't know if that's a category.
I mean, I think one thing that comes out of this is within the landscape is English eccentricity.
How do you prepare a choir member that might not have performed outdoors before?
Well, main thing is that they need to learn the music really, really well. So, because actually it's quite funny once you get outside, it is a bit disorientating. So, that's why we've spent kind of 12 weeks rehearsing the music, so that in this last section, isn't it, sort of, so that we can really focus on the movement and how we sort of place people in the spaces and stuff. So that's really what they've been concentrating on today, and the singing's just like taken for granted.
With their world premiere just days away, the choir bravely went on singing in the rain. But there is a limit. With the score 1-0 to the weather, rain finally stopped play.
I mean, our choir has been fantastic. Yes, the choir. I mean, one thing about the weather today, it's been like it is now. It's been beautiful in bits, and then pretty rough in other bits. So we did expect worse, I think.
I mean, what was great today was we asked people to come in costume, and it was fantastic to see everyone assembled, because you send people off with that job as individuals with a brief, and then they come back with all these brilliant ideas, don't they? It was quite moving to see everybody all together, and oh wow, it looks like that. Who's got wellies on?
Right,
oh, Howard.
Yeah.
No, he's the kind of he's the farmer, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he looks great. It's fine.
Okay.
You shouldn't trust a photograph. No thought will ever come back right.
This piece is a bit more characterised. We haven't done anything quite like this before, so we've asked people to, in a way, perform in a slightly more formal way, I suppose, and yet the piece is quite unusual. So we haven't given people specific characters, but we've given them ideas that hopefully help them inhabit a bit of method acting to bring into the way the whole piece is going to work.
And that's something that seems to be really interesting. And then there are other themes as well, which are much more unconsciously come about, with sort of themes of remembrance to a certain extent. Those things have been quite strong as well. So actually what a landscape stands for has been really important.
Everybody who's working on it creatively has got their own sources of inspiration, and that's what you'll hear. You'll hear lots of echoes.
Despite everything that's been thrown at you today, are you still looking forward to your performance?
Yeah, well, it seems mad in a way, but yes. Yes, very much so.
Yeah, definitely. More than ever now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your patience and commitment.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Musicality.
Fantastic.
Yeah, really
Absolutely
wonderful.
fantastic.
And especially huge thank you to Fiona, who has catered today.